Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to pop on here this morning to talk about some things before I go off to work. And I was talking Monday about cycles. Well, I actually wasn't really talking about cycles. I want to talk about cycles today. Monday, I was talking about a wave, how we can be on a wave of emotion, of thoughts, which link to our emotions, which link to our behaviors. And it made me, and then I ended off thinking about cycles because I sang, that little verse of the circle of life. So that made me start thinking about cycles. And then I realized, that kind of went away from my mind. But then Monday night, I woke up in the middle of the night with the full moon. I think it's full. It was pretty darn close anyway. I couldn't see because it was a little fuzzy because my glasses weren't on. But I think we're close to a full moon. I could feel it anyway. And I realized that, there's cycles everywhere. We've got the moon cycles, which affect us, affect our moods and our behaviors. There's that lunar cycle, full moons. There's huge amount of energy with full moons that affect us, as well as new moons. I was told, I have a friend out in California, and she was telling me that new moons are great times for setting intentions to change how we want to behave and change our life. There's just so much energy with a new moon as well as a full moon. Look how the moons, the moon cycles affect the tides. There's a physical piece there where it's actually moving great masses of water, sloshing it back and forth on the earth, kind of thing. So think about how it affects us from an energetic standpoint. So yeah, there are other cycles too, like just be aware of cycles in your life. Seasons are affect people. They affect me quite a bit. So notice what season it is, how you're feeling, and as we go, we start to summer kind of winds down a little bit here, and we kind of start to go into fall and winter. Notice how your mood kind of changes, because you're being affected by the seasons. You're being affected by the change in the amount of light now that's available to us, because we're past June 21st, so there's less and less light as the days go by during the day for us. That affects us. We may not be aware of it, but it does. And even as we get into the winter months, you have seasonal affective disorder, I think what it's called, and because there's a lack of serotonin being generated, you feel people get very moody and feel down and things like that. That's just a natural cycle that we go through. We can't fight it. It's useless to fight it. It's better to kind of recognize it and kind of go with it and just be accepting of the feelings and the thoughts that we have based on those kind of things. Women have cycles throughout the month, birth cycles, biology. That's huge. That governs their bodies, that governs their emotions, that governs their behaviors. The hormones are so powerful. Men have them as well. I don't think most men are as aware of them, and they're not as, I don't know if they're as biologically necessary, but they're not as aware of them, kind of thing. In fact, a woman was telling me yesterday that she even knows that women will link cycles, like if there were if there's more than one woman living in the house and they're going through menses, that they'll actually link cycles, and that alpha in the group will, if the group of women alpha, there'll be an alpha woman who I guess gives off more hormones or something like that, and they'll link with her. So it's very interesting how social we are and how important that is to our biology and our behaviors. So those are cycles right there. And then life itself is a cycle, right? Birth, death, and I used to think, there was birth and there was death, and that's kind of the end. But everything else is cycles. Cycles everywhere, and this is nature. So I'm kind of believing that there's a cyclical nature to birth and death too. That there's you're born, you die, and you're born again, kind of thing. It makes sense because energy, from a scientific standpoint, energy is not created nor destroyed. the whole equation, E is equal to mc squared. That's just a way for us to describe the conversion of energy into matter or mass. And that happens all the time. We're energy. So anyway, getting off a little bit on that, but that's kind of what I was thinking about with cycles. So, these cycles affect our thought patterns, which affect our feelings. Have you ever, in fact, thoughts govern feelings. You cannot have a feeling without a thought first. Even if you're not aware of it, try to become aware of that, because it's really, really, really powerful. Next time you have either, especially a sad feeling, if you have a sad feeling, they're easy to pick up because you feel kind of sad. But try to think of what's making me feel sad. What am I thinking of? So our thoughts govern our feelings, and then our feelings govern our actions. Our actions govern our overall behaviors and our habits, and those govern what our life is like. So at the root of everything, I think it's called cognitive behavioral therapy. I wasn't aware of this name until recently, but I've kind of been doing it for a long time for myself. So it's doable for people to actually recognize their thoughts and change their thoughts and change behaviors and then habits and their life themselves as well without getting outside help. It's really a recognition of your thoughts. That's really what it, I think, boils down to for me. That's been my big thing. So if you're able to recognize your thoughts and change them, you can, through that cycle, what I just said, you can change your life. In fact, I read a book. The book I read about habits, The Power of Habits, talks about changing just one habit. It's called a keystone habit. And oftentimes people, if they're really in bad state in life and they just change one thing in their life, they just change one habit, they just that will kind of set off a catalyst for changing the rest of the things in their lives as well. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about real quick this morning is cycles. And I hope you have a great day, guys, and just be aware of the cycles. Be kind to yourself, be compassionate to yourself, and have a great day. Bye-bye.